All right, welcome back to TML Weekly. This is season 2, episode 4. As always, brought to you by Bjorn and Don Cherry Sports Grill. How was your Thanksgiving, guys? Thanksgiving up here in Canada.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody! Thanks for tuning in. We had a great one. We were at my mother-in-law's out in Whitby. Went up by and saw my uncle for a little bit, and yeah, you know what? Great time to reflect and just have some fun time with the family. Johnny, how about you? What'd you guys do?
Yeah, we had a little bit of hockey, and we were all over the place. We were here. We had a nice little meal, just the three of us on Sunday. Jack had a first game of the year on the road yesterday morning, and I was doing a camp in Surrey PEI. So I had to get up and drive over there. I was on the ice for 6 hours. What a beautiful little spot right on the coast. And first time I'd been there, nice old rink, and yeah, had fun. And got back late last night, and yeah, we're just ready for another week of hockey here.
All right, what do we got? Let's get her going.
Yeah, so the Leafs went 2-1 in the first 3 games. Lost to Montreal, beat the Devils, beat the Pens. John and I were right with that 4 out of 6 points.
What did I say in the group chat? I said it. A blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then. So don't rest on your laurels here. We're gonna,
just if we're gonna be specific, who also called the loss to Montreal and then the 2 wins? I don't know if we got it on video from maybe Nolan can get a clip going from last week. But so listen, before we get going, I've got to bring it up because you guys know I've been waiting. That Thursday night game in New Jersey, that was for me, that was as close to a Stanley Cup final as we've been to, because that to me was validation. That game, that showed to me, if you got I was out, Kara and I we picked up dinner in the first period. We brought it home. We watched the first period at the bar. And I don't know, man. That team looked that New Jersey team looked like every Maple Leaf team I've seen coached by Sheldon Keefe while he was here. A big gut check game where your team has to show up because there's something on the line. And what happened to New Jersey? New Jersey looked like they could be less interested in playing that game than anything ever. And all I'm saying, if you're a fan of New Jersey, God help you. God help you. It's your problem now. Leafs came out. We look great. I loved it. Nolan, I don't think he's going to win Coach of the Year. I'm just being honest.
He's 4-1, right? That one loss. And you know what? I thought the Leafs played well too. Fantastic. Forget about all the sideshow stuff. They got to win hockey games this time of year to put themselves in a good position to dictate who they play or whatever you want to call it. I didn't think Jack Hughes, and I'm a big Jack Hughes fan. I feel like there's something lingering with him. Have you watched them at all, Nolan? I know you have some interest in their success this year, but
yeah,
Jack seems I don't know. He's just not getting involved. I feel like there might be something bothering him. But let's talk about Toronto, right? What do you think, Nolan, about Hughes?
Yeah, so I think throughout the first couple of games I've seen him play, I haven't really noticed him the same way that you normally notice him.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to be getting into the traffic areas. He's a shifty guy, and maybe he'll be okay. We'll see. But the Leafs.
Let's be honest, though. Sheldon Keefe is great at taking players who are really good and elevating them, right? So, why wouldn't we expect Jack Hughes to have a breakout season and be even better than before? Jack Hughes is going to have a regression. Mark my words. I'm saying it now. Watch it.
Who was Matthews coached when he got 60 twice?
Oh, you mean the guy who was taken first overall and has been a generational goal scorer since he came in the league? Yeah.
Wasn't Hughes first overall?
And watch Hughes have a regression. That's all I'm telling you.
So, did Matthews have a regression?
No, Matthews is the savior, though, and they're two different players.
Exactly.
Two different players.
Oh, come on.
I'm not giving him.
You're filling our listeners with your nonsense again.
No, I am not giving.
You were good for a couple weeks, and now all of a sudden, you know what?
I'm not giving the AHL coach even a sliver. Not a sliver. He's out.
You know what? I just got a text from Sheldon Keefe. No, he watches. And you know what he said? Tell that John guy he is far too old to wear a hat backwards.
I love it. Sheldon,
he's coming back. Right?
I love it.
Anyway, let's talk about. I mean, all game. I thought the Leafs were fantastic.
Great.
Fantastic. I thought I had no. I mean, usually we're finding stuff to gripe about. In all 3 games, you know, you got a couple of missed assignments and this and that and the other thing. But at the end of the day, they're playing well. The goaltending has been great. You know, we talked about it in our group chat. Did Hildeby just maybe, climb over Wall? Right?
So
I don't know.
Listen, we had the group chat going earlier, and we were talking about Joe Wall. And listen, if you followed us, I think it's safe to say we are all Joe Wall fans on the panel. All of us, we're all Joe. When Joe Wall is playing and he's on his game, he is a very good NHL goaltender. But like I said in the chat, and I'll say it again, the biggest advantage you can be to your team is available. And from the time he's played pro hockey, not just with the Leafs, but pro hockey period, Joe Wall's struggled to stay healthy. And so let me ask you guys this question, because the Russian goalie that we have in the plays for the Marlies, I think he's Russian, looked absolutely fantastic in his first weekend too. Is this are we the most comfortable now we've been with Maple Leaf goaltending in a long time?
I mean, I say it every year. We talk about it every year. If your team plays the right way and you have a really solid NHL goaltender that can stop, that isn't going to have a mental breakdown and let in a floater, you know what I mean? That's going to give you a 9, 10 save percentage. If you play the right way and you get that, you're going to have success. Okay. Where I agree with you is, I mean, you got 3, 4, 5 guys in the system right now. And then there's going to be other guys out there. But, with Wall specifically, I wish we could get a little bit more information, right? Is this the trainers or the doctors going in and finding something and shutting him down? And there's a big difference here. Or is it Joseph Wall, right, going into the season? He's going to be the for the first time, he's going into the regular season. Okay, I think of guys, that I look at as the greatest goaltenders, the Hassicks and the Waz and the Marty Brodeurs and Dryden's before him, and the list goes on and on. Those guys could have an arm hanging off, and they're going to play on opening night. And no doctor was going to tell Dominic Hasek or Pat Waugh, hey, you know what? You got a little bit of a little lingering thing in your left. I don't know what it is, and it may be something serious, but this is my kind of take on it. Is it's not a good look, right? Like, you're finally the guy. Samsonov's gone. We brought in a career backup guy that's going to be a real good support for you, right? It's your net. And right through training camp, fine. And then
okay,
boom.
So I'm going to say something that. So I was out with my uncle Peter, on the weekend, and I'm telling you, he has said this for years. How is it humanly possible that guys like Waugh and guys like Hasek, all the great goalies that you just brought up, could play 65, 70 games a year and be constantly going, I want more. I want to be in the net. I want to feel the game. I want the pucks at me. I want shots early. I want to get into the game.
Generational thing too, right?
It is. But there it is, though, John.
Yeah.
And you use the magic word. Guys today don't seem to want it the same way they did before. And
Some do.
whether
There's still that element in the game. And I think of a guy like Matt Kachuk, right? Like Matt Kachuk, he's one of those guys that doesn't matter. He's going to play.
But here's the thing, though. You're talking about two very different positions. We're talking about goaltenders. Let's be honest. We're going to be honest about goaltenders. Yeah. Goaltenders are a little left to center to begin with, right? We all acknowledge that. But whether it's load management on guys, or and I personally, just my humble 2 cents, I believe it's the money. I know it's not a popular thing to say. But guys get the cake, and all of a sudden the desire comes down a little bit. Right. The hunger for it seems to dissipate a little bit. I remember my dad saying, "You're going to watch. They're going to kill the egg that laid the golden goose, or the golden goose that laid the egg." Anyway, something like that. But once the money creeps in, you're going to start to see guys start to balance off. That's just my opinion on it.
I'm with you there, and that's why when you look at an Igor Shesterkin from the Rangers, Jack's favorite goalie, by the way, drafts him first overall in every draft we're ever in, and he's kid. That's what he does. So anyway, there's a guy that plays the 65. He'll play 65, no problem, and he has success. So when he's asking for more money than people think he's worth, he could go out and say, well, you know what? They pay that guy, $9 million, and he only plays 42 games. I got to play 65. That's worth that, and he's not wrong. Look at the Swayman negotiation, right? Look how ugly that got, right? Ugly over $250,000 a year, right? They end up doing 8.25. Right. But I heard an interesting stat on another podcast, and they said, talked about Boston. Oh, people are saying they're overpaying. Well, he's a 25-year-old, unreal athlete, goaltender, good guy, that kind of thing. But if you look at the cap hit and the percentage that he takes of that cap hit is exactly almost to the dollar of what? Who? Do you remember?
Finish your thought, because I'm going to jump on this.
Tuukka. So Boston's cap hit was with Swayman is the same percentage as Tuukka's cap hit was, right? Here's the only difference. Tuukka had a little bit samples going into that, right? Played, Swayman hasn't been a starter. He shared it with Omar. But you got to pay for that position. You just do.
I'm telling you, mark my words. In 3 years, when the cap explodes again,
Swayman's a bargain.
You are going to look at Jeremy Swayman's contract, and you're going to. Everybody's on Cam Neely right now, and he doesn't know. Cam Neely put on a masterclass, by the way, on how to sign a guy. He knew what the number was going to be. Yeah. We all knew what the number was going to be, right? You're playing with pennies on the dollar for Jeremy Swayman at this point. The contract today, and I would encourage everybody to lose the idea that we've kind of, in the flat cap world, come to assess on contracts and numbers. They are pretend now. The cap is going to explode. The TV revenue is going to explode. The 8.25 that you're paying for Jeremy Swayman 5 years from now, my God, it's going to be a bargain. Mark my words. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And then while we're on the goaltender topic and Shesterkin, so what's Detroit's coach name?
Derek Lalonde.
Yeah, so Lalonde says something to somebody in the media. There's a quote come out today.
Pumping his tires a little bit there, eh?
Okay, and he said, Igor Shesterkin is unreal. He's one of the best goalies in the world. He steals games. Yeah, he deserves a lot more than $11 million or something like that. So there's somebody posted a question on one of the social media, and I answered it, and I said, tampering much? You can't talk about a contract with a guy that's, your team. You're employed by the Detroit Red Wings, right? There's a contract situation going on with another team in the same league. Oh, that's 100%. Because
he's under contract, though. He's not a free agent, though. He's under contract.
Yeah, he's under contract right now.
That's right. So
right? But they know what. I think it's tampering, because that's basically him saying that's him saying, hey, if it doesn't work out in New York, Igor, we love you over here in Motown. We'll pay you 12.5 or whatever it is you want.
I'm going to hold a red. I'm going to hold a red card on this play. If the NHL was pretending to be interested in tampering, July the 1st would not exist. So I am going to pretend. Just like
I akin that to yelling at another player on the ice, on another player on the other team. Don't do it.
Is it not tampering when there's a contract signed at 12:02 or at 1:02?
Edmonton.
Yeah. So like all I'm saying is we can't pretend that
there's ways around it, but they're also not going on a media outlet and saying, hey, it's 10 o'clock Friday night, we're going to sign him at midnight.
Well, I mean, July the 1st is the biggest free agent.
Well, I'm just saying that the old days, they used to.
Sportsnet does it. It's the most, really, that is your.
Do you know what was happening in the 90s? You know what was happening in the 90s on free agency? And this is true to the top free agents. At midnight, July 1st, a vehicle would pull up to somebody's house, right? So it's midnight. July 1st is the next day. And a vehicle pulls up in front of whoever the top free agent available is. And the GM, the coach, the captain, 4, 5, 6 guys knock on the door and say, hey, we're here from the Toronto Maple Leafs. We want to present you with an offer of blah, 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 blah. That's how it started. That's how it started, because there wasn't the, texting and email and things like that. That's how it was. Like if you wanted a guy that bad, man, you're going to be there. You're going to sit at your hotel room until midnight when it's legal, and you're going to show up.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Was the last not real run of that, was that not the Marty St. Louis sweepstakes?
Yeah, he would have been in that.
I think that might have been the last one where he ended up in New York after he left Tampa, and it was like they booked a hotel at midnight, and everybody showed up, and he was just like, everybody had their presentations, and then he waited like a day, and then he kind of came out and said, "This is what I'm doing."
Yeah. Now they're flying to, it's crazy now, and there's, all this internet. But it goes back. I mean, we used to have, I coached in the GTHL, which was called the MTHL when I coached.
GTHL back in the day.
The AAA level. We would have what we
call to the Don Mills Flyers, by the way.
Yeah, we played them lots. Yeah, at my age group, they weren't one of the top teams. Who was good? This is 86 birth year, so Boland and that crew. But Marlies were good, Red Wings were good. Young Nats were good, Wexford Raiders were good. But we used to have when we wanted to talk to
Wexford Raiders.
When we wanted to have a skate. So we'd start recruiting in September for next year, right? So every time you'd play one of the other teams and there'd be a top player, you'd kind of talk about things like that. We used to have what they call birthday party skates. And that was my way of having it would be, Nolan Nichols' birthday. And we'd say, okay, we're gonna rent an hour ice, but we're gonna invite the top 3 players on the Marlies and 2 guys from the Red Wings, and we're all gonna come out and we're gonna try to get some recruiting done. So you're gonna get around the tampering thing. My point on it is I wasn't putting an ad in the newspaper saying I'm gonna have a tryout with 25 kids from all the other GTHL teams. Hey, come watch and see if you like it. That I didn't think Lalonde needed to say that to the press. I'm not saying that the team should lose draft picks, but should he get a slap on the wrist and maybe a memo go to the rest of the league? Hey, don't comment on dollar figures, the AAV of players on any other team but your own. I think it's an etiquette thing. I don't think it's healthy. So if Lalonde's saying that Igor's worth $12 million, and then they got a goalie coming up, and he's going to go, well, he said their coach said Igor's worth $12 million. My numbers have been better than Igor's for the last 2 years, and I'm up. I think about there's a young kid that I know the dad from the golf course out in Fort McMurray. Sebastian Cosa is the kid's name, and he's a big prospect in Detroit, and he played for the Oil Kings. Yeah, first round pick. He played minor hockey in Fort McMurray. His dad, Johnny, is a good buddy of mine, Al Morrison. So we watched this. I kind of was hearing about this kid when he was coming up, and then all of a sudden, he sprouts up. I think he's 6'6". He's in the American Hockey League. The Yzer plan knows what they got this kid.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a stud in that league. I really believe it.
Okay, so let's bring this back home. Just talking about bring it back to the Leafs goaltending. I think we're all impressed with Stolarz and the way Stolarz is played. If there's a backup goaltending situation and Hildeby's there, I think based on preseason, last season in the American Hockey League, I feel very comfortable with Hildeby. Where if Hildeby is going to be the number 2 or the 1A, through what I've seen so far, I'm okay with where we are. And I would encourage anybody who's looking at the Leafs right now, remember where we were last year when we couldn't buy a save and how many games we gave away with Samsonov. And we all tried to do the right thing and nobody wanted to criticize him. I criticized him, but nobody wanted to because they were worried about his mental health and all that good jazz. The reality is, if you take those games that we gave away early in the season, in November and December, that changes where we end this season. And if we can avoid that dip this year, I don't know, guys. I really feel like we're in a much better spot come playoff time, like all the way around. Like we could have 3 legitimate NHL starting goaltenders here to pick from.
Yep. And you also got Matt Murray as the 4th guy too.
Nothing wrong with that. And Matt Murray's an option too. It really is.
No, Matt Murray. No. I'm going to stop you guys. Matt Murray has not been an NHL goaltender in 5 years. Let's stop with the Matt Murray craziness that's going on here.
He's probably the best 4th goalie for a team in the NHL.
I mean, sure. If you want to call him the best 4th goalie, that's that's fine. Sure. No problem. I like Matt Murray's not even starting for the Marlies. So let's call a timeout, throw a flag on the play. Matt Murray, if Matt Murray's
with
ever
the football references,
I'm just telling you, if Matt Murray's ever in goal for the Maple Leafs, we got way bigger problems. Way bigger problems.
Yeah, but every 4th goalie in the NHL, that would be the case. But
I agree.
What I'm saying is there's a pool, and I've said it all along. It doesn't matter who your goalie is if you play the right way, right? If you play the right way and he can see the puck, and he you know what I mean? You're limited to under 27 or 28 shots a night. I don't care who you are.
That brings up a great segue. We've had 3 games this season so far to examine kind of where we are and what we're doing. Is anybody else loving the defensive structure and the defensive approach to the way we have played these first 3 games? Nolan, what do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely much better. 10 of Ekman Larsson have been really noticeable on the defensive side. And I think Berube's styles, like the first couple of games, it might have been a little bit uglier than what we're going to see going forward. Just everyone getting used to it. But you can tell it's definitely a much different structure than under Keefe. It's much more well-rounded. Looks like the goaltending is going to have a lot easier time saving pucks. And yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it 2 ways. It's actually a risk and reward structure. They're very, very they play a lot faster without the puck, I think, than traditionally they have. Less patient and more kind of in your face and aggressive. And that with that, you get some turnovers and things like that. And you have the ability to generate more off the rush. And I think you're starting to see that. I think that's going to come a little bit more. But with that aggressive play, and once they get comfortable, if 2 of them box in on a guy off the wall and your third forward recognizes that they're going to win that battle, and the D sneaks in, you're going to see that little chip play, and then the weak side D jumps in, and you got a 2-on-1. That's going to happen. We didn't get a lot. You know what I mean? Sheldon had. You can say what you want about Sheldon. He played a defensive, or tried to play a defensive structure, but you almost pin yourself because you're not aggressive. You're saying, okay, well, we're going to let them. We're going to stand here, 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 and here, and we're going to let them move it around the outside, and we're going to hope that none of them can infiltrate. But unfortunately, in the game that fast, it happens, right? Whereas now they're a little bit more aggressive on it. And that's, I like it. I like his presence. He never looks happy, grumpy. And he's got that kind of aura that he's always had, even when he was a player. Like, I'm going to rip your head off if you look at me the wrong way. And it would be very intimidating to play for a guy like that. Right? You better play the right way.
I was watching the second game that we played in the second period, and New Jersey had back-to-back power plays. And in the kill before that, Marner was on the ice, and Marner played with Matthews, and he was on the ice the whole time killing the penalty. But he was doing the Mitch special, where he would go in, he'd kind of wave at the guy and ask, "Hey, how are you doing? You got a carton of eggs? Okay, I'm not going to go in the corner with you. Everything's going to be fine. Bring the eggs back to the bench, and everything's great." I don't know if you guys noticed this, and I haven't heard it talked about a lot on other mediums, but Mitch Marner didn't play on the next two back-to-back power plays that he was on the ice. And I'm telling you, I was watching the game, and I sat there to Kara, and I said, Marner's not out again. And I swear to God, it's the first time that I've saw a Maple Leafs coach in recent history, because Sheldon would just apologize to everybody, but where he's holding guys, you can see it, he's holding guys accountable. And where else did you see it? You didn't just see it with Marner. You saw it with Pacioretty in the last game. Pacioretty didn't play the third period, right? If you're not doing what this coach wants you to do, you're not going to see the ice. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've been saying it for years. And John, this as a coach, the only control that you have is ice time. Guys are either going to perform or not. And if they're not doing it your way, the only hammer, especially at the pro level, that you have is ice time. I love it. I applaud it. Craig Berube, great job.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I love the accountability. And I think you're right. That's what a coach has to be able. I didn't notice the Marner one. I noticed the Patches one, but I didn't notice the Marner one. And could it be coincidental? For sure. But yeah, I mean, it's out there. You can tell by looking at the man. He's a scary, scary human being, right? I don't want that guy mad at me. So if I'm going to go out there and maybe get out of my comfort zone a little bit and do things maybe that I haven't done, traditionally in the past in order to keep my job and whatnot, I'm going to do it. Right. He's tried a lot of different things. You can see mid-game adjustments on style, on the forecheck, right? Like you'll see, I've seen it a couple of times with a 2-goal lead in the third, which was it the Pittsburgh
New Jersey game? No, the Pittsburgh game was great at the end in the third period.
Yeah, no, the Jersey game. And he was almost trapping at one point, right? Where they couldn't get right. So he's adjusting mid-game. He's not saying, hey, we're gonna play like this. He's gonna say, okay, we're gonna throw something at them, like we're gonna throw a left wing trap on these guys. And in a early, way too early to do that in a traditional sense of going. So it's basically you get one guy on the forecheck that's not really forechecking, and then you block down the neutral zone, and they do that, and then 2 shifts later they're not doing it, right?
Who does that though, John? You know what kind of teams do that? Winning hockey teams.
Yeah.
Teams that understand. And listen, how many times did we fail to close out a game right? In the last few years where we were like, why are we doing this? Why are you pinching a guy low? You're up 2 with 5 minutes to go. Don't sit them back. Let them do their thing and chip the puck out. The last 2 games against New Jersey, and especially if you watch those last 10 minutes against Pittsburgh, that was a clinic.
Yeah.
That was a clinic on how to play hockey with the lead. And as a Leaf fan, listen, I've heard the complaints that, the last few games haven't been that exciting. It's been kind of boring hockey. The first couple games, it's been kind of meh. Guys, that's how you win hockey games in the NHL. And we talked about it, or at least I said it in the chat today, was what excites me about this is we're doing this at the beginning of the season. We're learning how to play this way. It's great that we've won a couple of games early. I especially love that we beat Dubas and Keefe. That just warms my heart on this cold October night.
And the Montreal, they could be 3-0 most nights. That's a winning game, right?
100%. You get 48 shots on goal. You're going to win 98 out of 100 games.
Yeah, on the road, 48.
But the biggest thing for me is the way we're starting this season. By the time we get to March and April, this is what wins in the playoffs. Can you play with a 1-goal lead? Can you play with a 2-goal lead? Are you making the right decisions in the second period? Are you not taking those chances? And you're just chipping the puck down, get the icing, have a face-off, and regroup. These are things that I think that we haven't done very well under previous leadership. That, listen, we're only 3 games in, but I'm just telling you, I am excited as all you know what.
Yeah, and I mean, you should talk about the leadership of Matthews too, right? And managing this kind of side of, a little bit of a sideshow in the summer and the Tavares, and are his feelings hurt, and he handled it like a pro, really did, and he's playing fine. I know he missed the last one, didn't he? But the first couple games he was fine. I'd rather see him as 3C, but we'll see how this roster evolves. I still think they're having conversations, but at the end of the day, Matthews is out here. They've dominated 3 hockey games and Austin hasn't got a goal. That's pretty good, right? Because Austin's going to score, right? Those goals are going to come. He'll, by the middle of November, he'll have 10. But my point on it is, you got a guy like Austin Matthews that's now the captain, and it's a symbolic thing, really. But at the end of the day, they're right. He's contributing. He doesn't need to contribute on the score sheet every night as long as they win. If Austin Matthews scores 12 goals this year and Toronto gets 115 points, I'm okay with that.
100%.
I'm okay with that. This is about winning, right? We know Austin Matthews, arguably the best goal scorer. Well, the best goal scorer in the league right now, and could be the guy that makes a run at probably Ovi, right? But
he's ahead of him right now.
If we can win 4 cups in the next 5 years, right, and score 30 a year, I'm okay with that, and I think he is.
Be still my beating heart, Johnny. Be still my beating heart.
So that's going to lead me into this, and this is I read the different media sites and listen to some of these kind of guys like John, a little bit loose, fly off the handle and ready to jump off the bridge and stuff. So Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. So here, and I'm taking this very personally, right? Because I picked my hockey pool this year, and I gotta pick 2 goals. Okay? So Jack's sitting beside me, folks. Just so you know, he's here. He's off camera. He's giving me some little notes in my ear and handing me slips to talk about. Right, he's kind of behind the scenes. But anyway, so we have this family hockey pool. I mentioned it in one of the episodes. Right, you got to have 2 goalies. Everybody's got to get 2 goalies, 6 defensemen, and 9 forwards. So. Okay, Jack picks his goalies. He drafts in the slot just ahead of me, so he ends up with Igor Shesterkin, who we mentioned earlier, and Connor Hellebuck. Great picks, right? You know, if they were both available, I probably would have picked. I went and I said, okay, you know, I really, as in my predictions, talked about the Avs. I think they're going to have a really big year, still do, right? So I pick Georgiev, right? So there's my one goalie. Then I'm looking but the next time my pick comes up, I had a strategy. I wanted to get another goalie before the goalies are gone. So I was like, okay, who's going to win? Like, who's going to play 60 games and who's going to, you know, win 2/3 of them? So I said, well, Edmonton just came off the Cup final. They're going to have a massive year. So I picked Stuart Skinner, right? So my two goalies are combined 0-5. They didn't even start Skinner in the night before the home and home. So it was the other guy, the Pickard, that lost to Chicago. And then Georgiev gets pulled the first two games. And anyway,
they call him
those
Georgiev.
teams are going to be fine, folks. We've got people talk, what are they going to do? Are they going to look at the roster on those teams? Look at the coaching. I mean, it's the same two guys that have led those teams to, you know, a cup and then one goal away from a cup, right? They're both real good coaches. They've actually improved their team in the off season. Those teams are going to be fine. Chris time, those three losses will be probably 3 of 8 or 9 between those two teams. So Edmonton fans and Colorado fans, don't worry. Your team's going to be fine. The one thing that I worry about, because, you know, as we've discussed over the years, my wife's from Imperial, Saskatchewan, and so is Chris Knobloch, who's the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. So Mindy grew up with Chris. He was, I think, a couple years older, or whatever, went to the same school. What worries me in Edmonton is the Stanley Bowman effect. And it's going to make you crazy, John.
Hold on.
But when Stanley Bowman got reinstated, another guy got reinstated too.
Hold on. Can I just say, before you go any further?
Yeah.
Everybody knows my feelings on this.
I know. And I don't want to say
knows. No, I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm taking it in, and I would say this. Here's my opinion on what you've said. If you're in Colorado, I agree. I'm not very concerned about what goes on right now. If I'm in Edmonton, listen. I think if you're in Edmonton, listen, if you believe Stuart Skinner is the guy and he's that guy, I have questions for you. I do, if I'm being honest. If you're in Edmonton and you believe that the changes structurally that the organization has made is positive, I have questions for you. If you believe that defensively you're a better team now than you were last year, I think last year, again, this is just my opinion, John, I'm just saying it, I think Edmonton last year was lucky to get by Vancouver. They were lucky. Skin of their teeth. Edmonton,
right? And Draisaitl. He had the two.
Listen, 100%. I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying, if I'm in Edmonton and I'm 0-3 and I'm in Colorado and I'm 0-3, man, I'm relaxing in Colorado. I'm not worried about it. I got Nate McKinnon and the boys, and they're going to McCarr. They're going to be fine. In Edmonton, I'm telling you, be concerned. That's it.
Well, and my big concern is this, right? You bring in a new GM, and forget about who the GM is. You have a new GM in any sport. They usually want their guy, don't they? Right? They 100%. Usually a GM comes in, and if the team's on a slide, there's their out. Hey, I didn't hire this guy. I don't trust him to, execute the blah, blah, blah. Right? So you got a guy like Knobloch that comes in as a hero last year. Absolute hero, right? Turned that ship around, right? They were, 8-16 or something like that. It was bad. Anyway, so he comes in, leads them in within a bounce of a Stanley Cup championship, right? So now they hire Stanley Bowman, and, so here's my question to you. The Oilers start the year 2-10. I think Stanley Bowman makes a move, and I'm not even going to say his name, but I think we all know who he's going to bring in, right? And that would be a shame. And I think you'd have about 22, 23 other teams that are going to be dialing 411 looking for Chris Knobloch's number, because he's proven he's done it in the minors, he's done it in junior, and he's, he can coach, right? But he may be a victim of this, and it's going to be a shame. And I think that may just implode this whole group. They're lucky they get Draisaitl done.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. If there is a lot of consternation in the Edmonton market with the hiring of Stan Bowman, I think and I believe this, I don't have any inside track on anything, but I'm telling you, I believe this, that if they could go back and redo that, I think they'd take a mulligan on that hiring. I do, because the public outcry in Edmonton was significant. And I'm telling you, if they bring in Joel Quenneville, there will be a mutiny that will take place in Edmonton. And everybody knows my opinion on Joel Quenneville. One of the best hockey coaches. I have no problem with Joel Quenneville's acumen. I think he's a fantastic coach. I really do. I don't have any beef with his hockey knowledge and what he brings foundationally to a team from X's and O's. None. I don't think he should be involved in the game. I don't think he should be allowed in the game, period. Full stop. You've already brought a piece of the cancer from Chicago. You don't need to bring all of the cancer from Chicago. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and you're entitled to it for sure. And and I think a lot of people agree with you. A lot of people will look at it, from a maybe a little bit more of hey, you know what? They paid their dues, and the apologies have been out there and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I don't think either team should be worried. I think both those teams are going to be okay, right? But as we've said before, you can't make the playoffs in October or November, but you cannot make them. You can put yourself in a position where it's just too hard to get back, right? So you want to keep your head above water, really. And so they got an uphill battle, both organizations, but they got good leadership and great players, some of the best players in the world, that are gonna step up. One more thing I had. Have you guys watched any of the new documentary that Prime did called Face Off?
Yeah,
bits and pieces. I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen
there's lots of clips out there. There's lots
I've seen all of the Willie stuff. Of course, I paid particular attention.
They're putting out all the juice for sure. But I'm gonna tell you, Jack and I have been watching it, and it's really, really, really well done. And there's some access points in there that you don't normally get, right? When Connor goes off, I think at the end of episode 5, we haven't watched the 6th one yet. We finished episode 5 tonight. Connor goes off. Everybody's seen it if you have a social media account. Screaming and hollering in the dressing room, and you can see the cameras kind of looking in where Connor is in the room, like raw, right after the loss. I think it was game 2, and then the security guy kind of walks out and shuts the curtains, like but we already know who it is screaming, right? I think it's fantastic for the viewers. I think to be able to see, I love the bringing their home life, and they did that. They did a couple of one. HBO did them for the World or the Winter Classic for a few years, and I love those. I love seeing a guy, in his own element. And they, you had Willie skating with some kids at an outdoor rink in Toronto, and I didn't know Willie's relationship with Pasta, right? They played junior together in Sweden, or on a Swedish league team, They were friends, right? They go to dinner with Boston. I didn't know that because
I don't like it.
You got
I'm just saying I don't like it.
Pasternak. I know. I hear you. And I'm that way too. I don't like it on the ice, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a small fraternity, the hockey players, right?
I get it. I'm just saying, John.
You're with a guy, and your brother's with him for life. You might have to fight him tonight on the ice, but I'm certainly going to go out and have a beer with him after. And there's no hard feelings if he sticks me or I stick him or we drop the gloves and go. I'm still going to go have a beer after the game, and he's my friend, right?
Yeah, be a friend in the off season.
I don't like when they're hugging each other on the ice, and like we talked about it in baseball when they, somebody rounds first base after a walk and hugging the first baseman. I don't like that, right? When the game's on, they're the enemy. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make my team win. But, so I had no problem with that. I thought it was refreshing. I liked the way they talked about each other and the complimentary way. And I mean, I thought it was cool. I really did, and you get to, another guy in one of the episodes, Philip Forsberg, didn't know much about him. I thought he was a little odd, right? He had that twisty mustache. And then seeing him in his own element, I'm a fan now. I hated Jack Eichel. Hated him. Right? He came into the league, Toronto Buffalo thing, maybe, I don't know. But I didn't like the kid, and I had no reason not to like him other than the fact that he didn't play for the team I like. But then when I see him in his element and I see him talk about his injury and coming back and maybe, seeing a little bit of humility with the kid, I'm a fan now. Right? So, and I'm a tough nut to crack, right? If I get it in my head I don't like a player, I probably am never going to like that player, right? That's just, the way it is. I'm a fan of Jack Eichel. I enjoyed seeing this young man away from the ice and hearing him speak and talk and be, maybe a little bit of raw emotion and things like that. So I think if it's going to convert a guy like me to become a fan of Jack Eichel, and I'm a hockey nut, right? I'm involved in it and, watching it, and I don't miss it, right? What's it going to do for that average fan, man, that maybe lives in one of these markets that all of a sudden they're going to be at the rink every night. They're going to be watching. They're going to be buying jerseys. I think it's tremendous for the game.
Okay, so I'm going to say one thing, because as a Buffalo Bills diehard fan and as somebody who, has a lot of Bills fans that watch our show, I'm going to tell you, if you're in Buffalo and you're watching this right now, screw Jack Eichel. I am not with the Jack Eichel Reclamation Project. I'm with you, Buffalo. Let's stay strong. Okay? We don't need Jack Eichel in Buffalo. Let him have his Amazon show and he can be fine. I'm with you, Buffalo, all the way. Just saying.
What was those two words that make everybody crazy in Buffalo? Wide right or wide left? Which one was it?
So not necessary. Like, I'm just telling you, so not necessary. Buffalo, this is what I deal with. I'm with you, Buffalo. This is what I deal with.
I saw you two at the Odd in Buffalo in 1987 or 1988.
With the ultra steep upper level where you went up there and you were holding your breath on whether or not you were coming down.
I saw them at the X one night and two nights later at the Odd in Buffalo.
So let's, what, before we jump off, and I know it's a Leaf-based show, but at what point are we worried about Buffalo? Buffalo hasn't been able to get it right for
4 years ago.
No, but listen, I'm just telling you, as somebody, I live close to the border, and you can go over to Buffalo and you can buy tickets, $25-$30, and you can sit about 5 or 10 rows from the glass on a Wednesday or a Thursday night. And that building is half full.
That's probably part of the problem.
But at what point are we concerned about Buffalo?
Like staying in the NHL?
No, as a legit NHL market, if they can't figure this out.
Oh, they're always going to be a market. They're close. They're always going to be a market. That team won't go anywhere. There's a lot of money behind it. I'm not worried about them losing that franchise. I'm really not. I mean, that, if somebody wanted, if that franchise was going to move, it would have been in Hamilton 15, 20, 25 years ago.
Well, that's a conversation for another time.
Or half the reason Hamilton doesn't have one, right?
Yeah, they are half. That's
They're
a full
half as
point.
strong.
I want Buffalo to be good soon, though.
There's money that could fix that. But no, I mean, I just think I think it's a tough place to play. I think it's, when you especially you play a team like Toronto and it's blue and white in there and nobody's cheering for your team, and like you said, the masses can come over and cross the border for $30 and you can take your gas money, day off work, go down there, have a nice
Stay in a hotel, have dinner,
get a hotel, drink a bunch of beer, and go back, and you just save money than if you had gone to the Leaf game on Saturday night, right? So, but you know what? They're going to be there, and they've got a good young core. It's finding that right formula, finding the right coach. Is it Lindy Ruff? I don't know. Maybe he's done. Maybe he's past his shelf life, but we'll see. It's early, right? Ask me at Thanksgiving. That's when I always can kind of look at.
U.S. Thanksgiving is the money shot, right? U.S. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of where you got to be. Do you have anything else on our list here, Nolan?
Not really. No, just the predictions for this week. Only got 2 games this week.
Oh, yeah.
Wednesday.
So you guys are gonna go. I'll pick 2. So they, okay. So why don't we do something a little better than that, and try to pick scores, and then if there's ties, you can.
Hey, Nolan, I'm just saying. You ever notice the guys that lose always want to change their rules halfway? Like, you know what I mean? That's what they do, right?
Weird.
It's what they do, right? I mean, that's the way they go. So listen, I watched that the Kings Ottawa game, and that was literally like
9-8 or something.
Yeah, it was 8-7, and it was literally like the goalies were allergic to pucks. I look at this, and I think this is the game that you're going to see Austin Matthews do bad man Austin Matthews things. It would not surprise me to see Matthews get 2 or 3 goals against LA. Drew Doughty is not playing. And for those people who don't really necessarily follow LA, even last year, I understand that Drew Doughty is not the Drew Doughty that he was years ago. He was still playing 24, 25 minutes a night in every situation for LA. He's not there now. That is like the equivalent of taking a Matthews or a Marner, or I'd say Riley as a defensive player, but we played okay when Riley was gone. But like taking a core piece of your team and just gone.
So what's the score?
The score's irrelevant, John. The Leafs are going to win. That's the most important thing. Okay, that's the most important thing. I'm taking 2 points this week. I think we lose to the Rangers, and I'm okay with that.
I just can't.
I think we take 2 points. I think we take 2 points.
Okay, Leafs beat the Kings.
Speak for 15 minutes about how you're going to take 2 points. Go ahead.
Yeah, Leafs beat the Kings 4-1. Matthews scores 2, and then they beat the Rangers 3-2 on Saturday. 4 points.
Good. See, that's how you do it. Because now, right, I'm going to pick 2 wins too, and I'm going to pick 2 scores too. And then when the Leafs sweep the week, now Nolan and I can compare our goals. Okay, you just want to be the outcast, man. You want to just fuck everything, not
I'll take
fuck everything, right? Okay, 6-1 Toronto over LA. And who are they playing? The Rangers?
Yep.
3-2 Toronto in overtime. So if I get the overtime, that's going to count.
Okay, so hold on. 4-2 Rangers. 4-2 Rangers.
Oh, now he's going to buy in.
And now that
all you 4-2 Rangers.
Hold on. You muffins all decided you had to change the rules halfway through. Very typical. It's a very muffin move. I'm just telling you. Very muffin move. And I'm going to say 4-1 Leafs.
Hey, right now, Jack's about to come through this computer at you.
Jack, it's a muffin move. You got to call it when you see it, buddy. You got to call it when you see it.
All right. Well, another week down, and quiet week, but I think they go on maybe 4 next week, something like that.
But listen, before we go, I just want before quickly, it's a Leaf-based show. I want to get your thoughts on this. Power play 1, we've really struggled. It's been a little suspect. Who supports the idea of Morgan Riley taking a step back and OEL stepping in full time?
I would try it for sure. I'd try anything.
Yeah, they're trying it at practice right now.
No, I understand, but like, are we in support? I'm in support of that.
Yeah, I like Ekman Larson a lot. I think he's been real good at both ends of the ice, and he's always been a terrific puck mover. And he's got a great shot. He's got a sneaky shot. Larson.
Better shot from the point. Yeah,
he'll have that little snapper that the goalie won't even know it's coming, and it's far down or goes over over his shoulder or whatever. It's a real good deflect shot too. He disguises it well. And he's able to get that puck going in on an angle that's So yeah, absolutely, yeah, I would do that. Yep.
There it is, Craig Berube. You've heard it. TML Weekly has said we fully endorse it. Therefore, it's gonna work. Go Leafs, go!
Oh, just a second. Berube just texted me. He said, "How old's that guy wearing the hat on back?"
Go Leafs, go! Everybody.
See you next week.